The Bhavishya Purana. The Bhavishya Purana is the 11th among the Puranas and it contains 5 parts. The first part contains a description of the genesis, greatness of the deities and worship of Lord Vishnu, Shiva and Surya. Second, third and fourth parts describe about the greatness of Shiva, Vishnu and Surya respectively. It gives very accurate forecasts about Adam and Eve, Noah's Ark, the fall of Sanskrit and coming of other languages, about the coming of Buddha, Madhavacharya, Chandragupta, Ashoka, Jayadev and Krishna Chaitanya and about Kutubuddin and the Shahs ruling Delhi. The fifth part contains a description of the heaven. Like other Puranas, Bhavishya Purana also contains a description of the ancient kings and Chandra and Surya dynasties. Interestingly, Bhavishya Purana contains a description of a game that resembles modern chess to a great extent. In all, the subject matter of Bhavishya Purana seems to be an attempt to prove and establish the supremacy of Brahma. The Bhavishya Purana is an ancient text authored by Sri Veda Vyasa Muni, the compiler of the Vedic texts. It is listed among the 18 major Puranas. Bhavishya means future, and Purana means history, so the text's name would translate literally as the history of the future. Though the text was written many thousands of years before the recorded events took place, by the power of his mystic vision, Sri Vyasa was able to accurately predict the happenings of the modern times. One of the text's poetic styles is to present the events as though they have already happened. This is a common practice in Sanskrit poetry, and does not indicate that the book was written in modern times. Modern westernized scholars, who keep cooing about the forecasts of Nostradamus, reject the contents of Bhavishya Purana mostly on the grounds that its information is too accurate. But we should ask ourselves, if there was an empowered saint, who knew past, present and future, and if he chose to write a book named, The History of the Future, shouldn't it contain accurate information about the modern times, as the title suggests? We cannot disqualify it simply because it speaks accurately of the British controlling India, Hitler fighting the world, and Max Muller misrepresenting the Vedic teachings. Veda means knowledge, and the Vedic texts contain knowledge of everything, past, present and future. This Purana consists of 7 chapters. We are giving below some of the available translations. Biblical and Modern History, from the Pratisarga Parva, chapters 4 to 7. Sutha Goswami said, once upon a time in Hastinapura, Pradyuta the son of Kshemka was leading an assembly and meanwhile the great sage Narada arrived there. King Pradyuta happily honored him. Having him seated on the seat, the sage told King Pradyuta, your father was killed by the Mlekas, therefore he attained Yamaloka or the hellish planet. If you perform a Mlekayachna, then by the effect of this sacrifice your father will attain the heavenly planets. Hearing this, King Pradyuta immediately called the best of the learned Brahmanas and started Mlekayachna in Kurukshetra. They built a Yachna Kunda which was 16 yojanas in square, 128 miles. They meditated on the demigods and offered oblations of Mlekas. There are Haras, Hunas, Bavaras, Gurundas, Sakas, Kasa, Yavnas, Pallavas, Romajas and those who are situated in different Dvipas and in Kamaru, China and the middle of the ocean, all of them were called with the mantra and burned to ashes. Then he, the king, gave the Kshima, donation, to the Brahmanas and performed Abhiseka. As a result, his father Kshamka went to the heavenly planets. After that he became famous everywhere as a Mlekka hunter or destroyer of Mlekkas. He ruled the earth for 10,000 years and went to heaven. He had a son named Vedavan who ruled for 2,000 years. At that time the Kali Purusha prayed to Lord Narayana along with his wife. After some time the Lord appeared to him and said, "This age will be a good time for you. I will fulfill your desire having various kinds of forms." There is a couple named Adma and his wife Havyavati. They are born from Vishnu Kadama and will increase the generations of Mlekkas. Saying this, the Lord disappeared. Having great joy, the Kali Purusha went to Nileka Vyasa said, "Now you hear the future story narrated by Sutha Goswami. This is the full story of Kali Yuga. Hearing this you will become satisfied. In the eastern side of Pradhan city where there is a big God-given forest, which is 16 square yojanas in size. The man named Adma was staying there under a papa vriksha or a sinful tree and was eager to see his wife Havyavati. The Kali Purusha quickly came there assuming the form of a serpent. He cheated them and they disobeyed Lord Vishnu. The husband ate the forbidden fruit of the sinful tree. They lived by eating air with the leaves called Udambara. After they had sons and all of them became Mlekkas. Adma's duration of life was 930 years. He offered oblations with fruits and went to heaven with his wife. His son was named Svetanama, and he lived 912 years. Svetanama's son was Anuta, who ruled 100 years less than his father. His son Kinesa ruled as much as his grandfather. His son Malahala ruled 895 years. His son Virada ruled 160 years. His son Hamuka was devoted to Lord Vishnu, and offering oblations of fruits he achieved salvation. He ruled 365 years and went to heaven with the same body being engaged in Mlekkadharma. Having good behavior, wisdom, qualities like a Brahmana and worship of God, these things are called Mlekkadharma. The great souls have declared that the dharma of the Mlekka is devotion to God, worship of fire, non-violence, austerity and control of the senses. The son of Hamuka was Machokila. He ruled for 970 years. His son Lomaka ruled 777 years and went to heaven. His son Nuha, Noah, ruled for 500 years. He had 3 sons named Sima, Sama and Bhav. Nuha was a devotee of Lord Vishnu. Once the Lord appeared in his dream and said, "My dear Nuha, please listen, there will be devastation on the 7th day. Therefore, you have to be very quick that you make a big boat and ride in it. O chief of the devotees, you will be celebrated as a great king." Then he made a strong boat which was 300 feet long, 50 feet wide and 30 feet high. In the Bible the ark is described as, its length was 300 cubits, its width was 50 cubits, it had 3 stories and its height was 30 cubits. It was beautiful and all the living entities could take shelter in it. He then himself rode in it, engaged in meditating on Lord Vishnu. Lord Indra called the devastating cloud named Sambartaka and poured heavy rain continuously for 40 days. The whole earth, Bharatvarsa, had merged in the water and 4 oceans came up together. Only Visala or Badrikasrama was not submerged. There were 80,000 great transcendentalists in Visala who joined with King Nuha and his family. All of them were saved and everything else was destroyed. At that time all the sages praised the eternal energy of Lord Vishnu. Being pleased by the prayers of the sages, the Vishnu Maya reduced the waters of devastation. After 1 year, gradually the earth became visible. Under the hill there is a place named Sisina, and the king was situated in that place with his other people. When the water completely dried up, King Nuha came back to his place. Sutha Goswami continued, the Mlekka, King Nuha became attached to Lord Vishnu, and as a result Lord Vishnu increased his generation. Then he created a language fit for the Mlekkas, unfavorable to the Vedas. He named it as Brahmi Bhasha, or Brahmi language, full of bad words, for increasing the degradation of Kali Yuga. The Lord, who is himself the master of intelligence, gave this language to Nuha. Nuha named his 3 sons opposite. They were known as Sima, Hama, Yakuta, and also Yakuta, Saptaputra, Jumara and Majuya. The name of their countries were known as Madi, Yunana, Stuvaloma, Tasa and Tyrasa. Hama, who was the second son of his father, had 4 sons known as Kusa, Misra, Kuja and Kanam. Kusa had 6 sons, Havila, Serv, Toragama, Savtika, Nimaruhai and Mahavla. Their sons were known as Kamla, Sinara and Urka. And their countries' names are Akwada, Bavuna and Rasna. After telling this story, Sutha Goswami, influenced by Yoganidra, entered mystic slumber. He woke up after 2000 years, and thereupon he said, now I'm going to say about the generation of Sima. Because he was the first son of his father, he became the king. This Mlekka king ruled over the country for 500 years. His son Kansoda ruled for 434 years. His son Sila ruled for 460 years. His son Iratasya ruled the same length as his father. His son Fataja ruled for 240 years. His son Ro ruled for 237 years. His son Juja ruled the same length as his father. His son Nahura ruled for 160 years, and he destroyed his many inimical kings. His son Tahara ruled the same length as his father. He had 3 sons, Avima, Nahura and Hana. Thus I have explained the generation of Mlekkas with the indication of their names only. The Mlekka language is considered the lowest language because it bears the curse of goddess Saraswati. Thus I have summarily narrated the rise of the Mlekkas in Kali Yuga. Sanskrit is the language by which the whole Bharatavarsa is being praised and glorified. The same language, after going to another country, became the Mlekka language, and Mlekkas took advantage of it. After hearing all this, the sages situated in Badrikasrama worshipped Lord Narayana and meditated upon them for 200 years. When they woke up from their meditation, they inquired from their teacher Sutha Goswami, O disciple of Sri Vyasa, you are so fortunate and greatly intelligent, may you live long. Now please tell us who is the king at the present time. Sutha Goswami said, at the present time, the Kali Yuga has already passed its 3000 years. Now the king Sankha is ruling the earth, and in the Mlekka countries the king named Sakpat is ruling. Please hear about how they came up. When the Kali Yuga passed 2000 years, the dynasty of Mlekkas increased. They created many paths to grow, and gradually the whole earth became full of Mlekkas. The spiritual master and teacher of the Mlekkas was named Musa. He was residing on the bank of the river Saraswati, and he spread his doctrines throughout the whole world. As soon as Kali Yuga started, the devotion to the Lord and the language of the Vedas were destroyed. There are 4 kinds of Mlekka languages: Vrajabhasa, Maharashtri, Yavni and Garundika. In this way there are 4 million kinds of other languages. For example, Paniyam, water, is called Pani, Bubuksa, hunger, is called Bhuk. Paniyam drinking is called papuri and bhojanam eating is called kakkanam. Isti is called Suddharava, Istini is called Maspavani, Ahuti is called Aju and Dadati is called Dadati. The word Pitri is called Paitra and Brata is Beda and also Pati. This is the Yavni Lanugaj in which the Aswa is called Aspa, Janu is Janu and Sapta Sindhu is called Sapta Hindu. Now you hear about Gurundika language. Ravivara, the first day of the week, is called Sunday. Falguna and Chakra months are called February. Sasti is called 60. These kinds of examples are there. Crime is becoming prominent in the holy place of Saptapuri. Gradually the people of Aryavata are becoming thieves, hunters, vilas and fools. The followers of Mlekka in foreign countries are intelligent and having good qualities, whereas the people of Aryavata are bereft of good qualities. Thus the ruling of Mlekkas is also in Bharata, India, and its islands. Knowing all this, O great and intelligent sage, you should just perform the devotional service to Lord Hari. The great sage Soinka inquired, please tell us, what was the reason that the Mlekkas did not arrive in Brahmavarta? Sutha Goswami said, that was by the influence of goddess Saraswati that they could not enter that place. By the order of the demigods, when the Kali Yuga pursued his 1000 years, a Brahmana named Kasyapa came down to earth from the heavenly planets with his wife Ayavatil. They had 10 spotless sons who are known by the names Updhyaya, Dikshita, Pathaka, Sukla, Misra, Agnihotri, Dvivedi, Trivedi, Ketavedi and Pandey. Among them was the learned one full of knowledge. He went to Kashmir and worshipped goddess Saraswati with red flowers, red akshata, rice, incense, lamps, navedya, food offerings, and pushpanjali, flower offerings. To please her he praised her with some prayers, asking her for better knowledge of Sankt to put Mlekkas into illusion. Being pleased by his prayers she remained situated in his mind and blessed him with knowledge. Then the sage went to the country known as Misra and put all the Mlekkas into illusion by the grace of goddess Saraswati. Then he made 10,000 people as Dvijas or twice born Brahmanas. He made 2,000 people into Vaishyas, and the rest of them as Shudras. He came back with them and staying in Ayadesha, India, he engaged in the activities of the sages. They were known as Aryans and by the grace of goddess Saraswati their generation gradually increased up to 4 million, both the men and women with their sons and grandsons. Their king, Kasyapa Muni, ruled the earth for 120 years. There were 8,000 Sudras in the county known as Rajputra, Rajput, and their king was Ayaprithu. His son was Magad. The sage made him a king and left. Soinka inquired, O disciple of Vyasa, O Lumaharsana, please tell us who were the kings to rule the earth in Kali Yuga, after Magad. Sutha Goswami said, when King Magad, the son of Kasyapa was ruling the earth, he remembered his father's administration and he separated the Ayadesha, India, into many states. The state which is on the eastern side of Panchala is known as Magad. The state of Kalinga is on the east-south side. The state of Avanta is in the south. Amartha Desha is to the southwest. Sindhu Desha is on the western side. Kakaya is to the northwest. Madra Desha is in the north. And Koninda Desha is to the northeast. These states are named according to his sons' names. After performing a sacrifice he gave the states to his sons. Lord Balbhadra became pleased with his sacrifice, and Sisyunaga appeared from the sacrifice as his son. He ruled for 100 years and his son Kakurma ruled for 90 years. His son Kshamdam ruled for 80 years and his son ruled for 70 years. His son Vedamisra ruled for 60 years. His son Ajathanipu ruled for 50 years. His son Dabaka ruled for 40 years. His son Ogyas ruled for 30 years. His son Nandavardhana ruled for 20 years. His son Nandasutha, who was born from the womb of a Sudri or a low-class lady, also ruled for 20 years. His son Pranankala ruled for 10 years. His son Pananda also ruled 10 years. His son Samananda ruled for 20 years. His son Priyanantha ruled for 20 years. His son Devananda also ruled for 20 years. His son Yajnavanga ruled for 10 years. His son Moyananda ruled for 10 years. And his son Mahananda ruled for 10 years. At this time Lord Hari was remembered by Kali. At that time the great and famous Gautama, the son of Kasyapa, introduced the Buddhist religion, and attained Lord Hari in Patna. Gautama ruled over 10 years. From him Shakya Muni was born, who ruled 20 years. His son Shuddhodana ruled 30 years. His son Shakya Simha became the king on Satadri after 2000 years and he ruled for 60 years, by which time all the people were Buddhists. This was the first position of Kali Yuga and the Vedic religion was destroyed. If Lord Vishnu becomes a king, then all the people would follow him. The activities of the world are carried out by the prowess of Lord Vishnu. He is the master of Maya or the illusory energy, and whoever takes shelter of that Lord Hari, though he may be a sinful and abominable person, will become liberated. Buddha Singha was born from Shakya Simha and he ruled for only 30 years. Buddha Singha's son was Chandragupta, who married with a daughter of Suluva, the Yavana king of Poseza. Thus he mixed the Buddhists and Yavanas. He ruled for 60 years. From him Vindusra was born and ruled for the same number of years as his father. His son was Ashoka. At this time the best of the Brahmanas, Kanyakuja, performed sacrifice on the top of a mountain named Abhuda. By the influence of Vedic mantras, 4 Kshatriyas appeared from the yajna. Among these 4 Pramra was Samevdi, Chaphani was Yajurvedi, Shukla was Trivedi and Parihraka was the Atharvavedi. They were accustomed to ride on elephants. They kept Ashoka under their control and annihilated all the Buddhists. It is said there were 4 million Buddhists and all of them were killed by uncommon weapons. After that Pramra became king in Avanta and he constructed a large city called Ambavati for his happiness. It was as big as 4 yojanas or about 32 miles. Then Sutha Goswami said, "My dear Brahmanas, I am being influenced by Yoganidra, therefore, please go to your respective ashramas and meditate on Lord Vishnu." After the completion of 2000 years, Sutha Goswami said, when the Kali Yuga had passed his 3710 years, at that time the king was Pramra who ruled 6 years, from him Mahamda was born. He ruled 3 years and his son Devapi did the same. His son Devdutha also did the same. From him Gandharv Sena was born, who went to the forest after ruling for over 50 years and having given his kingdom to his son Shankha. Shankha ruled for over 30 years. Lord Indra sent a heavenly girl to Gandharv Sena named Virmati. A jewel-like son was born from her womb. At the time of his birth, there were flowers raining from the sky, many auspicious instruments were played and the wind was blowing pleasingly. The name of the baby was Shivadrishti, who later left for the jungle with his disciples. After 20 years he became perfect in Karma Yoga. When Kali Yuga completed 3000 years, the terrible symptoms of Kali had appeared. That baby took birth in the secret place of Kailas, by the benediction of Lord Shiva, to destroy the Shakas and to increase the Ayodhya or the Vedic region. His father Gandharv Sena named his son as Vikramaditya and became happy. This child was very intelligent and very pleasing to his parents. When he was 5 years old, he left for the forest to perform austerities, and he continued it up to 12 years. After 12 years he went to the holy city named Ambavati with all the opulence and accepted the transcendental throne sent by Lord Shiva. For his security, goddess Parvati created a Vetla, a king of ghosts, and sent it to King Vikramaditya's palace. Once the powerful king went to the temple of Lord Shiva named as Mahakaleshwara, who is the chief of the Devas, and who has a bow named Pinaka. There he worshipped Lord Shiva. In that place he built a religious council hall with the pillars made of various metals and decorated with many kinds of jewels and covered with so many plants and creepers and flowers. In that hall he kept a celestial throne. He invited the foremost Brahmanas who are well versed in Vedic knowledge, worshipped them with proper hospitality and heard many religious histories from them. After that, one demigod named Vitla came there having a form of a Brahmana. Glorifying and blessing the king, he sat down on the seat and said, "O master of this earthly planet, King Vikramaditya, if you are very eager to hear them, I will describe the stories and histories to you." Thus ends the 7th chapter of the Pratisarga Parva of the Bhavishya Purana. The prediction of Islam, from the 3rd part of the Pratisarga Parva. Sri Sutha Goswami said, in the dynasty of King Shalivahana, there were 10 kings who went to the heavenly planets after ruling for over 500 years. Then gradually the morality declined on the earth. At that time Bhojraja was the 10th of the kings on the earth. When he saw that the moral law of conduct was declining, he went to conquer all the directions of his country with 10,000 soldiers commanded by Kalidasa. He crossed the river Sindhu and conquered over the Gandharas, Mlekas, Shakas, Kasumeris, Nirvas and Sathas. He punished them and collected a large amount of wealth. Then the king went along with Muhammad, the preceptor of Mlekadharm, and his followers to the great god, Lord Shiva, situated in the desert. He bathed Lord Shiva with Ganges water and worshipped him in his mind with Pankagavya, milk, ghee, yogurt, cow dung, and cow urine, and sandalwood paste, etc. After he offered some prayers and pleased him. Sutha Goswami said, after hearing the king's prayers, Lord Shiva said, "O King Bhojraja, you should go to the place called Mahakakshvara. That land is called Vahika and now is being contaminated by the Mlekas. In that terrible country there no longer exists dharma. There was a mystic demon named Tripura, whom I have already burned to ashes. He has come again by the order of Bali. He has no origin, but he achieved a benediction from me. His name is Maholla and his deeds are like that of a ghost. Therefore, O king, you should not go to this land of the evil ghost. By my mercy your intelligence will be purified." Hearing this, the king came back to his country. That city is known as their site of pilgrimage, a place which was Medina or free from intoxication. Having a form of a ghost, Bhuta, the symptoms of my followers will be that they first of all will cut their genitals, have no shikha, but having beard, therefore, they will be known as Musalman. The intelligent king, Bhojraj, established the language of Sanskrit in 3 Varnas, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaisyas, and for the Shudras he established Prakrita Bhasha, the ordinary language spoken by common men. After ruling his kingdom for 50 years, he went to the heavenly planet. The moral laws established by him were honored even by the demigods. The Aryavarta, the pious land, is situated between Vindyakala and Himakala, or the mountains known as Vindhya and Himalaya. The Aryans reside there, but Varnsankaras reside on the lower part of Vindhya. The Musalman people were kept on the other side of the river Sindhu. On the island of Barbara, Tusha and many others, also the followers of Isam Siha, were also situated, as they were managed by a king or demigods. The prediction of Buddhism, from the 29th chapter of the Pratisagarbhava. Long ago in the country known as Siddhartha, the inhabitants of the heavenly planets used to come to play during the time of autumn. One day a heavenly Apsara known as Manjughosha came to that place where the sage Shuka was residing. Seeing this beautiful boy, she tried to attract him while singing and dancing. Being overwhelmed by lusty desires, she praised him with a beautiful prayer, holding her hands and bowing down. Somehow, she pleased the Muni. Then the glorious Shuka, hearing this auspicious prayer, asked her to request a benediction. Manjughosha humbly said, "O Lord, you are the protector of those who came to your shelter, therefore I am at your shelter, please become my husband." The sage accepted her, and after some time they produced a son named Muni, who performed austerity very strictly up to 12 years. He married the daughter of Swarnadeva, the god of gold. They gave birth to a daughter named Kinri. She was very young and beautiful. She performed austerity to please Lord Shiva, and as a benediction Lord Shiva instructed her to a sober sage Makranda. Then her father, Muni, asked Lord Shiva to bless her, so that they will successfully make progress in this world. Lord Shiva said, "Up to 30 years you will enjoy your country in the middle of the earth. Then it will be destroyed." After hearing this, Muni went to his place with Makranda and resided there. As soon as the 29th year started, the battle took place among those kings who took birth as the incarnations of the associates of Krishna. Boidha, the lord of Nuhas, the lessened people, attacked the beautiful city of Netrapala, thinking that this city is wonderfully decorated with various kinds of jewels. The powerful king Boidha Singha, who had 7 million soldiers, fought with those kings who had only 3 million soldiers. The fight went on terribly between the armies for 7 days and nights. The great powerful kings, who killed all the inimical armies protected by Boidha Singha, were Yoga Singha, Goga Singha and Vijaya. After that more Buddhists came from the countries known as Shyama and Jipka, and all of them were magicians. Again they had a large battle which lasted for 1 month. Then Netrasimha arrived with 7 million soldiers protected by 8 generals, for the destruction of the Buddhists. Being afraid, all the Buddhists left India completely and went to China to continue the war from there. The opposite army also continued following them. When they arrived on the bank of the Huha river, it was the month of Magh, the second half part of the month of January. The fight took place again. There were 1 million soldiers each from the countries of Syama and Jipka, and 10 million soldiers from China assembled for a fight. On the other side, Krishnamsa, Deva, Netrapala, Mandalika, Ganyapala, Lalesimha, Talana and Jana Nalka were the generals, each of them having 1 million soldiers. There was a terrible battle between the Buddhists and the Aryans. In that war 7 million Buddhists and 2 million Aryans were killed. Being afraid, the Buddhists ran away from the battle and went to their home to produce a wooden army with the help of a machinery arrangement. They made 10,000 elephants, made out of wood, along with warriors, 1 million horses, 1,000 buffaloes, 1,000 hogs, 1,000 tigers, 1,000 swans, and 7,000 camels. All these creatures had wooden warriors on their back. Thus with the wooden army, which was 125,000 in number, they killed 2 million soldiers protected by Krishnamsas. Seeing this wonder, Jayanta, the expert fighter, shot fire arrows toward the wooden armies, so that they were immediately destroyed, being burned to ashes. Only 3 million Kshatriyas, warriors, were left, and they glorified the proficient warrior. Jayanta again and again. Then the Buddhists from China made a 20,000 strong iron horse cavalry and sent them to fight. The powerful warrior Yogsimha, riding on an elephant, held the bow and arrows in his hands and shot to the neck of the iron warriors. Being afflicted by the arrows of Yogsimha, 5,000 soldiers were killed. Seeing this, Boyd Simha made an iron tiger and sent it to Yogsimha. By the attack of that iron tiger, the brave Yogsimha was finally killed, and then Gogsimha, riding on a horse, went to fight with the tiger. He killed the tiger by throwing a missile, and roared loudly. Then a lion was sent to him by Boyd Simha, and thus he, Gogsimha, was killed by a lion. When the son of Swarnavati, Jayanta, saw that his maternal uncles were already dead, he rode on a powerful horse and went to Boyd Simha. He took illusory arrows and put the opposite army into delusion along with Boyd Simha. He captured 10,000 kings including Boyd Simha, and returned to Krishnamsas, having destroyed the mechanical armies. Then all of them happily went to the city and forcibly looted the wealth from the palace, which was very opulent, and came back the fort of the king. Jayanta came and released Boyd Simha. After being released, he offered his daughter Padmaja to Jayanta and also offered 100,000 golden coins for the pleasure of his in-law. After that, all the Buddhists made their vows there itself, saying, "We will never go to Ayodhya to invade the country." Then they offered their homage and left. They went to Netrapala with their 3 million remaining soldiers. The prediction of India's kings, from the 31st chapter of the Pratisaga Parva. Sutha Goswami said, the great powerful king of Madraksa worshipped the mendicants of the heavenly planets, the Ashwini Kumaras, for 5 years, and after having received a benediction from them, he produced 10 sons and one beautiful young daughter named Kantineti. King Madraka invited Maharaj Suryavarna, the present king of Hastinapura, and gave his daughter to him with proper conduct. Having accepted the new wife, Suryavarna quickly returned to his home with his army. There was a mystic demon named Kabura, the son of Bigbisna. When he saw Kantimeti, the daughter of King Madraksa, he came there and kidnapped her in their presence and went to a mountain called Sahyadri. Seeing this incident, Mahiraja became very upset and lamented again and again. Mahiraja came to Hastinapura and sent a message to Krishnamsa. He explained everything to him, and immediately with 500 warriors Krishnamsa went to Sahyadri mountain and said fearlessly, "O best of the demons, please listen. Your father Bibhishana is a great devotee, and you are the dear son of him. Therefore, you should not act in this manner, sinfully, which is the cause of the destruction of family. Do you remember? Long ago Mother Sita was kidnapped by Ravana, and what happened to him?" The Rakshasa said, "Previously she was the daughter of a Gandharv and my beloved wife, but because of a curse by a sage she took birth on the earthly planet. Therefore, feeling her separation, I went to Madraksa. Although I stayed there so many days, being afraid of the king, I could not kidnap her. Now she is in my control, but if you defeat me in battle you can take her back." Then Krishnamsa started fighting with him with a sword, and it went on for 7 nights. Finally he defeated the Rakshasa, and with contumely came back to Delhi to see Mahiraja. The king, Mahiraja, offered 10,000,000 golden coins to the great Krishnamsa. Then he came to Pramdavna, or the forest called Pramoda, with his friends. Sutha Goswami said, there was a powerful king named Purnamala in Patna. He worshipped the Vasis for 5 years and received a benediction from them. By their blessings he had 10 sons and a daughter named Vidyunmala. For the marriage of his daughter he invited King Mahiraja, and with 7 million soldiers he gave his daughter to the son of Mahiraja, Bhima. Bhima came back happily to his home, Hastinapura, with his beautiful wife. Then the king of Paisakadasa, Sahoda, came with 10,000 Mlekkas to get Vidyunmala. They came to Kurukshetra by the order of Bali, the grandson of Prahlad Maharaja. They broke the deities of gods, killed so many cows, and in the places of sacred water they put cow blood. Sahoda, the Mlekka king, wrote a letter and sent it to Mahiraja. King Mahiraja answered, O Mlekka king, you are the master of the Mlekkasi. Why are you worried about Vidyunmala? You should know that I'm the one who can shoot arrows just by hearing a sound, and I'm the central point of the country of the thieves. Then the king went to Kurukshetra with 3 million soldiers. There was a large, terrible fight between them. At night in the month of Jesta, July, Bali Maharaja came from Patala, the lowest region, with 10,000 demons, and killed the soldiers of the king very quickly, eating them again and again. The king, being afraid, took shelter of goddess Saraswati. After that immediately Krishnamsas arrived and killed the 10,000 demons. They came to Bali, the lord of the demons, and pleased him with their words. Then Balirja said, I am very pleased with you, now you can ask for any benediction. They said, these demons should never come to Ayodhya, India, with you. All of you should stay always in Mlekkadesha and eat the followers of Mlekkadharma. Balirja became upset hearing these fearful, terrible words. Then Krishnamsa said, as long as I am in this world you should simply stay in your home, after that you come here and do whatever you like. Hearing this, the Mlekka king Sahoda went back to Rasatla, the 6th lowest region of demons. The prediction of Nimbaka Acharya, from the 7th chapter of the Pratisaga Parva. The sun god, being pleased by the praise of the demigods, said, by the order of the Lord Krishna, Sudarshana will take birth in the Dwaprayuga, and will be known as Nimbaditya, Nimbaka. He will be able to remove the declination of religious principles. Sutha Goswami said, now you hear about the pastimes of the great Nimbaka. Lord Krishna personally ordered him to appear on the auspicious bank of Narmada river, which flows to the southern side of mountain Meru. That state is known as Telanga, the place used by the Devasis, the godly sages. Lord Krishna said, you receive knowledge from Devasi Narada and establish the true principles of religion. You should remain in Mathura, Namisranya and Dwarka. Lord Sudarshana accepted the order of Lord Krishna, saying, yes, and appeared on the earth to fulfill the desires of the devotees. There was a broad-minded holy Brahmana living in the auspicious state of Telanga. His name was Aruna and was well versed in the Vedas and Vedangas. His wife was known as Jayanti. They were living an austere life like the sages. The brilliant luster of Sudarshana suddenly entered in the heart of Jayanti, and by that luster she looked brilliant like the moon. When the time arrived with all auspiciousness and good qualities, in Gaura Paksh Purnima of Kartika month, Vrisha Rasi, the moon in Kritika, the 5 grahas, planets, situated in higher places, in the evening at the time of sunset, in Masalagna, the Lord of the universe, Sudarshana, who engaged the whole universe in Vedic religion, appeared from Mother Jayanti, as Nimbaka. One day Lord Brahma went to Nimbaka's ashrama just before the sunset and said, "O Brahmana, I am very hungry. As long as the sun is in the sky, please give me something to eat. I will not eat after the sun sets." The Brahmana, Nimbaka, gave him food, and while he was eating the sun went down. Then the Brahmana by his power kept a Sudarshana on a Nimbe tree. Lord Brahma wondered seeing that sunlake shine, and paid his obeisances to the Brahmana by lying flat on the ground. Pleased with his austerity, Lord Brahma said, "Excellent. You will become famous on this earth, and you will be known as Nimbaditya, Nimbaka, one who made the sun appear from a neem tree." The prediction of Madhva and Sridhara, from the 7th chapter of the Pratisaga Parva. Brihaspati said, "Long ago, during the age of Treta, O Indra, there was a Brahmana named Shakrasharma, in Ayodhya. He worshipped demigods such as the Ashwini Kumaras, Rudras, Vasis, and Surya with the mantras mentioned in the Yajurveda. After worshipping, he satisfied them by offering oblations every day. Thus being pleased with his worship, all the 330 million demigods awarded him all desired objects and even the rarest things. By the benediction of the demigods, the Brahmana lived on this earth for 10,000 years without getting old and having no disturbance. After leaving his body, he became the sun god and predominated the sun planet for 100,000 years, before going to Brahmaloka. He spent 8,000 celestial years for visiting the higher planets and then returned to the sun planet. Hearing this, Lord Indra with his sober intelligence began to worship the sun god along with other demigods in the month of June-July. On the Purnima, the full moon day, the sun god came down to the earth and said to demigods, "I will take birth in Kali Yuga in Vrindavana, and this Brahmana will execute favorable acts for the demigods. He will be born as a son of Madhava, named Madhu, and follow the Vedic path." Sutha Goswami said, saying this, the sun god created a light from his body and sent it to Vrindavana. Attracting all the irreligious people with pleasing speech, he gave them Vaishnavi Shakti, or the spiritual energy of Lord Vishnu, the bestower of enjoyment and liberation. Thus he became famous, known as Madhvakaya. Jiva said, "In the age of Dwapara, there was a Brahmana named Megha Sharma. He was very much religious, intelligent, learned, and a follower of the Vedic path. He was engaged in farming, and with the 10% profit from farming he was worshipping the demigods every day with devotion. Once there was no rain during the administration of Maharaja Shantanu for 5 years, but the farm of Megha Sharma was about 4 miles wider and was watered by rain. Naturally the grain rate increased and Megha Sharma became rich by taking advantage of the scarcity. Other people being so distressed took shelter of the king. The king called Megha Sharma and said, "O great Brahmana, I offer my obeisances unto you, please become my guru and guide us, so that we can be free from the scarcity." Megha Sharma said, "When the month of Shravana, July to August, starts, you should call 12 Vedic Brahmanas to chant 100,000 times the mantra of the sun god with the proper mind. Then on the full moon day, Purnima, offer 1/10 the number of oblations in the sacrificial fire, through the Brahmanas. If you could do this as mentioned, you will become free from anxiety." So the king performed accordingly and fed all the Brahmanas, Then the sun god, being pleased by this, poured heavy rain on the earth from all sides. After this, King Shantanu engaged in performing Suryavrata and became a greatly pious person. Whoever he touched with his hand immediately turned to a young man. By the mercy of the sun god, Meghsama lived for 500 years, being freed from old age, and then went to sun planet. After 1 lakh years he will attain Brahmaloka. While he was speaking thus, sun god revealed his identity to Jiva and went to Prayaga, Allahabad, and being in a happy mood he said to the demigods, in Kali Yuga, when the Mlekkas will be ruling the kingdom, I will come to Vrindavana and preach for the mission of the Devas. Sutha said, then the sun god descended in Vrindavana as a son of Deva Sharma, named Sridhara. He studied Srimad Bhagavatam very deeply, and a great commentary on it is known as Sridhar Bhasya, the commentary of Sridhara. The prediction of Jaldev Goswami Brihaspati said, long ago there was a Brahmana named Heli, in the beautiful city Pampapura. He was a worshipper of the sun god and he knew the 64 arts. He avoided the mood of accepting dakshina, donations, and he became an artist, having established a workshop for clothes, paintings, pictures, metal statues, etc. He spent 5,000 coins to establish it. Whatever profit he made he used for worshipping the sun god in the month of Magha, January to February, by performing sacrifices. Thus the sun god Vishwakarma, the architect of the gods, became pleased with this sacrifice and descended on the top of a big pillar in Pampa Sarovara, the lake named Pampa, having a brilliant shining foam. At the noon time, Heli offered food to the sun god according to his desire. In this way he satisfied the 3 worlds. After leaving his body he entered into the sun planet. Therefore, O King of Devas, you may worship the sun god, he will help you. Sutha said, Lord Indra, hearing this from his guru, began to worship the sun god Viswakarma along with other demigods. Thus being pleased with their worship, Twashta, Viswakarma, said, O gods, please listen to my words. I will appear in a village named Bilvagram in Bengal, and I will be the poet known as Jaldev, the compiler of Nirukti. Saying this, the sun god went to Bengal and took birth in the house of a Brahmana named Kanduk. When he was just 5 years old, he was engaged in the service of his parents and continued for 12 years. After some time his parents left their body and Jaldev did all the final ceremonies, Shraddha, in Gaya. Being satisfied they went to heaven. Then Jaldev lived in a jungle as a detached Brahmana. At the age of 23, a Brahmana, someone, offered his beautiful daughter to Lord Jagannath. At the end of his worship, the eternal Lord Aniruddha, having the form of Darubrahma, directly spoke thus, O Satyavrat, please listen to me. It is my order that you offer your daughter Padmavati to Jaldev because he is the body of mine, or he is as good as me. Then he found the detached Brahmana, Jaldev, and leaving his daughter in front of him, he went to his home. Padmavati served her husband for so many years, accepting him as a beautiful and learned one. Jaldev compiled a book known as Nirukta, the Vedic vocabulary, one of the 6 Vedangas. There were 5 kinds of Niruktas, but in Kali Yuga they were destroyed by the evil people and Prakrit Bhasha, or the illiterate language, was established. For the sake of the demigods, Panini, the author of Ashtadhyayi grammar, overtook them and established the pure Sanskrit language. Once the evil-minded Kali, situated in the hearts of thieves, plundered all the money of the Brahmana Jaldev which was given to him by the king. Following this they cut both his hands and legs and went home, leaving Padmavati aside. Jaldeva was thrown into a ditch. Padmavati took him out, cried and lamented again and again, seeing the situation of her husband. One day, when the king Dharmapala was out hunting, he saw the sage Jaydev without hands and feet and asked, "Who put you in such a condition?" Jaydev answered, "No one put me in this condition, O king. It is due to my previous activities that I am suffering now in this abominable condition." Having heard this statement, the religious king put the Brahmana on a palanquin along with his wife and brought them to his palace. The king built a dharmshala, religious institution, after receiving instructions from Jaydev. One day those same thieves, dressed as Vaishnavas, came to the king and said, "We are very much expert in the scriptures and therefore we have come to you. O best of the kings, Lord Vishnu, while being in the stone, Shalagrama, eats food cooked by us every day with love. If you don't believe us, you can see this right here." Saying thus, the slaves of Kali by their power showed the king a four-handed form of Lord Vishnu eating. Being struck with wonder, King Dharmapala said to Jaydev, "O my Gurudev, some Vaishnavas, the devotees of Lord Vishnu, have come to my palace, and they have shown me the Lord before my very eyes. Therefore please come quickly." The thieves saw Jaydev and became struck with wonder. They said to the king in a joking mood, "O king, this Brahmana was a cook in the palace of the king of Goiredsa, Bengal. Once he became very much greedy for money and he mixed some poison in the food and offered it to a king. When the king came to know about it, he ordered him to be crucified. Then we came to him, Jaydev, and knowing him to be an offender, we instructed him in the Vedic knowledge. Then the king refused to crucify him, but he cut off his hands and legs. At that time the king became our disciple, having been enlightened by us." While they were speaking thus, the earth broke in two and those thieves fell within the earth, being sent to the lowest hell known as Patalaloka. Jaydev began to cry to the thieves, and while he was crying his hands and legs appeared to be as they were. Then he explained to the bewildered king what had happened. The king became very happy after hearing everything from him. Jaydev wrote a song called Gita Govinda, the song sung for the pleasure of Lord Govinda. The king read the song and attained liberation. O Brahmanas, thus I have narrated the birth story of Jaydev. Now you listen about how the Supreme Lord appeared as Sri Krishna Chaitanya. From Pratisaga Parva, 4th part, Chapter 6. About Kutubuddin and the Shahs ruling Delhi. The sage, Soanka, said, "O great fortunate one, you know everything, please tell us about the kings who came after Maharaja." Sutha Goswami said, "The ghostly Kutubuddin, with human nature, was situated in the kingdom of Delhi. The best king Bhapesana, the grandson of Virasana, was situated in the beautiful city of Aligarh. This city was protected by Yadvas. Kutubuddin with 10,000 warriors went there and defeated him and returned to Delhi. Then so many kings from other countries came there and defeated him and rejected him from their countries. When Shahuddin heard this, he came to Delhi, conquered the kings and broke all the deities. After that so many Mlekkas came from all sides and ruled the kingdom for 5, 6 or 7 years. They had destroyed the places of pilgrimage and the temples, therefore as a reaction they become short-lived. From today, the Mlekka kings will continue for 100 years, therefore O sages, you should quickly go to Vishala, Badrikasrama, with me." Then all the sages sadly left this place, Namisranya, and went to Vishala, the best of the Himalayas, and meditated upon Lord Hari, being in Samadhi, trance. And after 100 years all of them attained the kingdom of God. If you enjoyed this audiobook, please like and subscribe to be notified of when new audiobooks are uploaded. Thank you for listening and learning. Shanti.